In this video, I'm going to show you a client that I've been working with who thinks he has flat feet, but what he actually has is a fallen arch. And there's a difference between those two. Now, what can cause fallen arches? First of all, the arch is the middle of your foot, and it's supposed to act like a spring. It's supposed to be able to have some flexibility so that when you walk and move, that arch is there to actually give you some flexibility. But what happens is that a lot of times that arch will actually collapse down and the bones will drop inward. Now, things that can cause that are inflammatory conditions like obesity, high blood pressure. Anything autoimmune is an inflammatory condition that can cause a collapsing of the feet in, and even pregnancy. Now, there's a difference between flat feet and a fallen arch, but either way, you should still be able to strengthen up the middle of your foot to get that arch to come up so that it's not collapsing in on the bones. And that's what the collapsed arches, you'll see that the ankles on this patient that I'm going to show you, they actually fall in, and it's almost like he's walking on the inside of his ankles. So you can have a flat foot without a fallen arch, but usually if you have a fallen arch, you still have a flat foot, but we need to fix that fallen arch. So as you look at this video, I want you to see if this applies to you, because it's affecting things that he does. It affects how he walks, it affects how he stands, but the biggest thing is it's affecting his balance. Now, this particular patient, he has scoliosis, and he had 2 rods put in his spine when he was a teenager. Anytime you have scoliosis, it changes how your brain perceives your body as it's connected to the ground. So your balance, your coordination, anything you do is not as in tune or in sync as somebody who doesn't have a scoliosis or curvature in their spine. So he's had this surgery. It's drastically changed how he balances. And so you're gonna see from this video that when he tries to balance on one foot, it's very difficult. So I'm working with him in an effort to get his brain reconnected to where he is in space. So I want his brain to talk to his feet so that his feet can stay nice and balanced. And when he does this and he starts to train over time, his nervous system will actually become stronger. So we're doing some things chiropractically for him, some very mild stretching in the middle part of his back where he has the rods, as well as adjusting his neck and his lower back to try to straighten his hips out, because his hips are rotated. He kind of walks like this, and you'll also see that from the video. So I love this video because this is actually going to be the first of many that we're going to be doing with him and following his journey as we start to get his nervous system strong and change how his body functions so that it can be more precise in where he stands, how he walks, and make sure that we reduce his risk of injury overall. So I hope you enjoy this video. What is the difference between flat feet and a collapsed arch? I'm going to show you. I have the perfect specimen. So I have a patient here who's asked me not to show his face, so I'm not going to. So I'm going to show you his feet. So let's see what this looks like. Okay, so these are Eric's feet. Now, when I first watched him walk, the reason I wanted to watch him walk is because he has a pretty severe scoliosis. He has 2 rods in his spine from when he was a child or teenager, right? Yeah, perfect. And then, but what happened when I watched him walk is he has this really interesting thing about how his hips are shaped. So point your feet in the direction of how they actually are shaped. So they both, one goes in one direction, one goes in the other, right? Yeah. So you can see that his left foot there wings out and his right foot kind of wings in. Now this is actually how he walks. So I'm gonna show you his arches in a second. Go ahead and walk towards me, just normal. Okay, well, slower than that. Okay, let me see. Okay, go ahead. Okay, see, and then turn around and go back the other way. And then turn around and come back. So you can see how that left foot just wings out and the right foot stays forward. Now, if we look at where his feet are, so he said it's because I have flat feet. There you go, awesome. So you can see he literally has no arch. but he doesn't have flat feet. This is the bone of his foot called the navicular bone, and it's almost touching the floor. So this whole part of his arch is actually collapsed down. So really, if you just exaggerate, lift your arch up, maybe not. I think that's about where he could / should be. So I think in all reality, he does have flat feet, but he also has flat feet coupled with a collapsed arch. So you can see that. I mean, that's the bone right there. So if we go to this side, it doesn't look as bad. There's a little bit of a gap right there. So it's not as bad, still collapsed down though. Now back up just a little bit, Eric. So now I'm gonna ask Eric to balance on his right foot. So go ahead and just lift your left foot up. So now this is what happens when you have these, if you have a scoliosis, you're gonna have a very difficult time balancing. So now can you flip your foot back around? Can we try it again? Oh. Yeah. So you see how this is his brain trying to train his body, and look how it's trying to lift the inner part of his arch. That's what should happen there. So his brain is disconnected neurologically from where his feet are. So this is what we're training here. So now let's do this on the left side. So now you can see, so he's automatically lifting and really working the outsides of his feet. And he's got to get these neurological pathways strong again. And when he does, we can make some headway on those arches, okay? So that's the one thing. Now another thing, go ahead and turn around and walk the other way. And just walk slowly, because we're gonna talk about how this right foot wings out. Now, do you see how his right foot wings out? It kind of swings around. Part of that is from weakness in the what's called the tibialis anterior muscle of his leg. So I'm going to show you what that looks like here in a second. So when we were watching Eric walk, you saw how his right foot went like this, right? So when he walked, he wanted to do this. Now, he has weakness that we could see because of how we had him balance. He had a very difficult time balancing on one foot on each side. Now, when he does this at home, what's your strong side? You usually
right.
Yeah, so he can usually balance a lot better on his right side than he can on his left side. However, he's had a long weekend working, he's probably a little bit sleep deprived, and so that can all play a part of it. But one of the things too with the leg coming out like this, is we have to strengthen up the front of the shins. So this muscle here is responsible for what's called dorsiflexion, pulling the foot up towards your face. So if it's weak, when he goes to walk, it's just gonna be lazy. And that's part of he's gonna wanna swing that around. So if we can get that front of that muscle strong, then when he toes off, it's gonna be more likely to do that move like that, okay? So one way to get that strong is simply to lean against a wall. And you wanna start slowly on these because you can make the front of your shins sore. Yeah. So when we do this, start slowly, but if you're somebody who's struggled with shin splints, this actually will help to strengthen up the front of the shin so that it'll resolve some of that. But just simply feet leaning back against the wall, feet away from the wall a little bit, and gently pulling your toes up towards your face and slowly lowering down. And that's it. And if you do 10 of these 3 times a day, I'm on 3 and I already feel it. But this is actually going to strengthen up the front of the shin, and it's going to help with the strength of allowing the foot to pick up as he walks through his range of motion. So that's the strength. We're going to do that exercise to build up strength in the front of the shin, and then he's going to practice balancing at home on each leg for at least 30 seconds to start to increase the strength of his brain through his nervous system to his feet, because his brain does not know where he is in space. So we have to connect those 2 dots. Once we do that, then we're gonna follow Eric's journey to see how well he improves on his gait and see if we can't get that wing of his foot to start to straighten out, as well as improve his ability to balance from head to literally toe. All right, I hope that was helpful. If you liked this, go ahead and leave a comment for me. Also, please don't forget to share this information so that we can spread the message of health and wellness to the world. And I appreciate you being here, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.